Great.
Hi, everybody. This is the Coalition for Home Repairs August webinar, and we're going to be talking about best practices in installing grab bars. And this is a really important topic to us as a coalition for a couple of reasons. One is that we have a falls prevention project going right now. We actually had a cohort meeting right before this where we are collecting information about falls that older adults experienced in or outside of their own home in the 6 months before we repaired, and then again in the 6 and 12 months after we repaired the homes. So part of that is installing grab bars. It's just one of the many interventions that can help with aging in place. And it seems like a simple project, but it's actually, there's a lot of nuances to it. And so I'm really excited to have Robin here with us today. For those of you who don't know Robin, she has a really impressive history in home repair. She worked for a Rebuilding Together affiliate, a Habitat affiliate, an independent home repair nonprofit, and she volunteers her time to help us out at the coalition. And so we're really glad to have her expertise, and I'm excited to hear what you have to share with us today, Robin. So I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. Here we go. Great. Can you all see that? Very good. Okay, great. Yeah, I have been installing grab bars for probably 30 years and training volunteers on the process of installing grab bars. Our biggest concern has always been that first off, we want the grab bars to be installed properly and safely, and also to encourage and support the volunteers in their work in installing grab bars. So today we're going to talk a little bit about best practices for grab bar installation. This is taken from a manual that I've developed for over reiterations of various nonprofits. The latest one I did some modifications on, and it is uploaded into our coalition wiki. And there'll be a link to that at the end of the webinar that you can get a more full installation booklet on it. So this is all about grab bars, the tools, training, and installations, and the best practices that we've found for installing grab bars. So grab bars are basically defined as anything that's a mounted assistance device that can aid in their balance, movement, and stability. And they're not just for bathrooms. You can put grab bars on stairs, either regular handrails or additional grab bars for somebody who has problems getting maybe around a corner or up to steps. They're very good for any sort of level changes, because those are definitely the trip hazards for people, and not just getting in and out of the bathroom. Any activity of daily living, getting in and out of bed, assistance walking, and sometimes even in the kitchen. Putting in a grab bar in an appropriate place in the house other than just the bathroom can really improve people's quality of life. They're able to make meals, they're able to get in and out of bed without assistance. They are able to get up and down the stairs without having to, I've had people who have basically have to sit down on the stairs and kind of bump themselves up the stairs because they don't have anything to hold on to. So you need to kind of think outside the box, outside of just bathrooms, for installing grab bars. There's many, many types of grab bars that can be used. In the lower right corner, you'll see the regular grab bars that most of you are familiar with to install in the bathroom. But there's also drop-down grab bars that you can install if you have a limited space and only occasionally somebody needs a grab bar. There's floor-mounted grab bars that mount not only on the wall, but also on the floor, that provide great stability. There's also these floor-to-ceiling poles, which are very, very good. Some of them are tension-mounted, and some of them you actually screw into the floor or the ceiling to do it. So these are all types of grab bars that can be utilized in our grab bar installation. So using them outside of the home, or outside the bathroom rather, is really important. Sometimes a grab bar right at the door, somebody's coming in with groceries and there's a little step and they just need that little bit of extra help to hold on to something while they get their keys. Going around stair corners or going up and down stairs really makes a huge difference. So there's often confusion about people wanting to follow what the ADA recommendations for grab bars are. We should be really clear that the ADA recommendations for residential use are very different from the commercial recommendations. The commercial recommendations and the ADA recommendations for building guidelines are very different. Basically, the ADA recommendations for building code is developed for commercial applications, a wide variety of uses, a wide variety of disabilities. Usually in a home, you're dealing with somebody who has one, maybe two types of disabilities, a movement issue, or perhaps a vision correction need. Individual homes are exempt from these strict guidelines within reason. And grab bars should always be installed to adjust to the client's needs. I always say that a person who is 6 foot has a very different height need than a person who's 5 foot. So you really need to think about the size of person that you're using and not just follow, oh, this has to be 36 inches from the floor or 48 inches from the floor or whatever. So you really do have to accommodate the grab bar usage to the client. And a way to do that is really talk to the client and to ask them, okay, where are you having trouble moving? And kind of follow them around the house as they use things in their house. You'll get a really good idea of where they reach for support, where and the height they reach for support. It's really amazing the difference that makes. You also have to factor in things such as if they have a vision loss or a mental status issue, dementia, that the grab bars may need to be in a slightly different place to make it a little bit more obvious for them where the grab bars should be. And of course, if someone's in a wheelchair, that also changes heights needed. So we're basically, it's the assist users everywhere. Again, you know, grab bars at front doors, pole type of grab bars. There are grab rails that you can fit on the bed that kind of slip between the mattress or box springs to be able to give just a little extra assurance for when people get in and out of bed. I can't emphasize enough how much installing a grab bar in the right place increases people's confidence and comfort in their home. The fact that they don't have to be afraid of getting in and out of bed or afraid to get in and out of their front door just makes a huge difference in quality of life. It's quite astounding. So the grab bars in the bathroom, let's talk about those first, since that's the place that most people think about installing grab bars. If we want to assist our folks, we really need to consider a whole kind of variety of their needs. In the lower left corner, you see that the standard places to install grab bars are the back wall, the faucet wall, and a vertical grab bar as they get in and out of the shower. And again, that's show me how you get in the shower. Fully clothed, you know, just like, okay, show me how you get in the shower. Where they put their hand is where you want to install the grab bar. Some people will put it up higher, some people will put it down lower. Again, the slide next to that gives the general idea for installing grab bars. I don't particularly find the grab bar in the back of the toilet to be much use. That is really used for people who are trying to transfer from a wheelchair onto the toilet. It's very rare that type of grab bar really gets used a lot. But again, as you're talking to your client, you need to talk about and see what that is. Sometimes around a toilet, it's very difficult to find the place to install the grab bar. If the bathroom is small enough, sometimes installing a grab bar across from the toilet, normally where the towel rack is, and sometimes even substituting a grab bar for the towel rack can be a thing, because people will use towel racks as grab bars, and we all know that they aren't really installed very securely. So, and they also don't, even if the brackets are installed securely, they don't really, they can break easily. So sometimes making the towel rack into a grab bar makes good sense. There are various toilet risers that you can buy that are very easy to install. They usually install with the bolts on where the toilet seat connects to the toilet. You pull the bolts off, you put the riser on, and then you just put the bolts back on and you're done. Makes a very secure way to get on and off the toilet for folks. There are also the the toilet seat risers if somebody has a low toilet and you don't have the means to put in a comfort level or an ADA toilet. In terms of the toilet heights, if you try to install what are considered ADA compliant toilets, you're going to find those are much more expensive than what is installing something called comfort height. Comfort height is usually pretty close to the ADA height recommendation, and they're higher seated toilets. And you'll find that if you do want to install a higher toilet, you can save money by ignoring the ADA compliant toilet and going for the comfort height. They're almost usually totally identical.
Robin, there's a question in the chat box.
Sure, if you can monitor the chat for me.
Treva was wondering, do you recommend a toilet paper grab bar?
They can be good. They're usually small, and sometimes that's the only place to install the grab bar. We have all worked in the tiny little bathrooms that most of these houses have, because nobody we're working with is in a big mansion. Hopefully not, but most all the bathrooms are really, really tiny, 6 by 6 kind of a thing. And sometimes there's just no place to install the grab bars. So you really have to almost be creative in ways to install the grab bars. But the toilet paper grab bars are a good option. Sometimes you can install grab bars on a vanity cabinet that's beside the toilet, which can be helpful. Let me caution you that those cabinets are usually made on a particle board. So if you do install onto the side of a bathroom vanity cabinet, you probably want to put some reinforcement on the inside, just even a 1x2 or something like that. You'll be able to screw something really solid into, because you don't want the grab bar to tear out of the cabinet. So sometimes things like that are really useful.
Robin, I've seen recently, I think it was an advertisement for grab bars that were basically disguised as functional, like toilet paper holders or towel racks. It was like a double rack built in.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was geared towards higher end people who wanted grab bars but didn't want it to look like they had grab bars. But and how expensive they are. But
that's a challenge, particularly for somebody who is newly impaired, even slightly. Somebody who's getting older and really could use the extra balance and mobility support, but they really kind of don't want to admit it yet. A lot of the pushback that we've gotten is that it will decrease our home value, or I don't want to be old, I don't want to have grab bars in there. And you really have to work a little bit on the psychological level of no, we're talking about universal design. We're talking about when your older parents come to visit, they're even useful for children to be able to have that extra thing to hang on to. So you do sometimes have to get over that little psychological hump with your folks that you're working with, of not wanting to grab bars because that's an old people thing, or they feel like it's going to diminish their home value. As far as I know, there's no evidence that installing grab bars diminish the home value, and in fact, there's probably evidence that it increases home value if they're installed with an aesthetic, not just something thrown up looking like hell. So that's pretty much where you want to go on that. Height recommendations. Again, the ADA requirements are only a suggestion, but typically grab bars are usually placed anywhere from 33 to 36 inches from the floor, and the bottom of a vertical grab bar located 39 to 41 inches from the floor. That's because people are standing and they're usually up a little higher. I can't emphasize enough to let the client lead you in where to install the grab bar. I would often ask people to come into the bathroom and say, just show me how you get in the shower, and see where they put their hand when they step into the shower. Sometimes somebody will install a grab bar up near the faucet end, and that's not the way people get in. That's no way that particular person doesn't get in the shower, because they're afraid they're going to scald themselves. So they want to get in at the other end. And now you've put a grab bar in that isn't useful for them. The same thing with getting on and off the toilet. You will see where their hands reach when they get up. If they lean on the vanity, what I was talking about putting a grab bar on the vanity side, makes sense. People will reach where they really need to install the grab bars. So that's pretty much what recommendation is on that. We, in my various nonprofits I worked in, we developed a tools and material kit for our volunteers. Basically just a partition box that was our grab bar kit that they could kind of grab and go. We had various grab bar fasteners in there. In addition to the ones that came with the grab bars, and the grab bars, we would supply them. We would give them additional fasteners as we do it. Having some painter's tape or masking tape to make marks on the tile really helps. Supplying a plug-in drill. Sometimes if you're drilling into tile or something heavy, the battery operated drill really doesn't have enough oomph to do that, although they're better these days than they used to be. Making sure they have a Phillips screwdriver, a 16-inch drill bit to probe for studs, a battery operated stud finder, Sharpies and pencils, you know, things like that, paper to make templates, rubber mallet, drop cloths, and having a shop vac, but basically making it as compact as you can. So they bring their regular tools that they're going to use on the project, but then they have this specialized kit that has all the things that they might need when they're installing grab bars, because often the volunteers haven't seen the situation initially. It's been, you know, the volunteer coordinator or the construction lead who's gone out and made the assessment, and then they're sending their volunteers out there cold, and they really haven't seen, you know, what's there. So the trick on the kit is to supply them with all the things that they might need, so they don't have to take a trip to the hardware store or not be able to complete the job. So it's basically a grab bar installation kit with all the accessories that they need. The 1/4-inch tile bit is another thing that you want to put in there. 1.5 or 3/4 inch of both the Apache bits. We'll talk about the Apache bits in a minute. Those are used for installing the grab bars or grab it fasteners. Various types of fasteners, a little bottle of rubbing alcohol and or alcohol pads. That if you have a grab bar that has a little adhesive backing on it, when you want to put it onto the tile, you know, we all know that everybody isn't great, so that really clears any soap scum that might be there. Having rags and silicone or tub and tile caulk, a little container of kind of a ready mix tub and tile grout repair is a really nice thing to have, just a little pint of it, extra screws, and a wire kind of hole tester for if you need to kind of probe into a hole to figure out where the studs are. These are all things that go into the accessory kit. So the first rule of grab bars is they have to be rock solid. You really, really need to have those grab bars not give way, and for somebody to be able to put their full weight on it. The walls shouldn't be deteriorating and wet. That's kind of a deal killer for grab bars unless you can really get into a solid stud on that. The typical test is the gorilla test. You want to basically be able to do a chin up on the grab bar yourself. So you just want to yank the hell out of that thing, because when somebody is falling or using the grab bar, they're putting their full weight on that grab bar. So you have to really make sure that that grab bar is not going to go anywhere. So that's the first rule, is they really have to be rock solid. There are various grab bar fasteners. Some grab bars have a proprietary fastener for their own system, Delta, for example. But there's a great fastener called a wing-it fastener. These are one of the best fasteners that we found. They're very large, opening into the wall. They spread out and really spread out the weight. They were initially manufactured for commercial use, but now they have several options for additional use, and you can see the type of ones at the end. The metal one, the GBW40, was the first wing fastener that was the commercial one. They basically all work like toggles in a way. They slip into the wall and then they spring open and hold up tight against the wall. These are usually paired up with what's called an Apache drill bit. This is the specific drill bit that the wing-it fasteners use. They're a little pricey, but this should go in your accessory kit. It drills an amazingly perfect hole in tile and anything for grab bars, and it fits the winglet fasteners precisely. Depending on you have the right size. There's two sizes of them, a smaller one and a larger one. So you want the right size for the winglet fasteners that you have. These are, just buy one or two of them and pair them up with the winglet fasteners that you're using. Does somebody have a question, or was that just we good? Okay.
It's Treva here. I warned you I might ask you some questions.
Sure.
I was just wondering, when you back to the Gorilla Strength and everything, and maybe you can answer how you would test before you start going in and putting a grab bar. How do you know that the wall is
Solid behind there?
Solid enough, especially, and I'm speaking especially for trailers, because we have a lot of mobile homes.
Right.
That we work on. Is there a way that you would suggest to test that out before you just go for it?
Well, I mean, some of the keys are, are the tiles loose? Can you kind of push on the wall to get some bounce in the tiles? That gives you an indication that either the tiles have come and separated from the backing board, or the entire back of the drywall is loose. As you know, a lot of homes have had water damage behind. As long as the water damage isn't too high up on the wall and you can grab into something solid, you're pretty much okay, because the water damage is often going to be lower down. Now, that doesn't always hold true if there's a window in the shower or bathroom space, because a lot of times windows will have areas where water can get down behind up higher in the tile. But you really want to make sure that there's not any kind of bounce in the tile, or the tile's not coming loose. You can really tell with that. We're going to talk a little bit further on into the slide about the situations that we could run into with installing in walls.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, sure. So the other fastener options, Moen makes a very nice, what they call a secure mount anchor. It basically is a 3-part thing with the little kind of key thing that you use. You can see how it works. You kind of pop the key and it drops the latch down, and then you use the key to kind of pull the latch back up and tighten down, so that then you have a nice ring to screw your grab bars into. Delta also makes a version of it as well, which is pretty much the same way. The key drops down, or the latch drops down, you slide it into the hole. And then when you pull it out, you pull the key out, and that makes the latch come back up so that it secures the wall. Those are very good fasteners. They're, I think, a little bit cheaper than the winglets, and they're fairly decent, so they're very useful. They both have their own size of hole that needs to be drilled that's on the package, and you can see that on the package. If you have a situation with a fiberglass surround, and you can, fiberglass surrounds are always so difficult because they're usually not right up against the wall or right up against the studs. If they are, they're often glued, so there's no real way to be secure on that. You really do need to find the studs. For example, if you're installing a fiberglass surround, you may want to consider getting these solid mount fiberglass surround grab bar backers. It's basically a mounting kit for the fiberglass with the threaded spacer and the mounting brackets that go into the stud and provide a mounting bracket. Even though there's only one stud, you can see there's only one bolt that goes into the stud, and the mounting bracket is, you're putting the screws basically into the mounting bracket, not into the studs. So those are a nice option. They are difficult to work with an already installed shower surround though. Not impossible, but it is difficult to work with. We don't recommend them, but sometimes you need to have other fasteners. And the only ones that we recommend are these snap toggle, heavy duty toggle bolts. Even grab bar installation folks will use these at times. They are basically supposed to be carried twice the load of a regular toggle. And they are fairly easy to use. It's on a plastic system where you put it into the hole and then you pull it back out and make the installation on that. So you can have some of those, but they're not recommended as the primary fasteners for grab bars, but they are useful to have in your kit. So one of the things that we found is that we had volunteers that were afraid of installing grab bars. They were like, oh, I'm going to damage somebody's tile. I don't know how to install them. I'm going to I'll feel bad if the grab bar fails. I just don't have confidence. And we found that a lot of our volunteers, we only had like 1 or 2 volunteers who felt confident enough that we could send out independently to install grab bars. They were fine with going out with somebody who was knowledgeable, but the whole idea was to get the volunteers out there on their own. So we didn't have to go out with them each time to kind of handhold them as they did it. So one of the things we did at my nonprofit is we developed a 2-hour training class for them. We wanted to let them get some hands-on experience installing grab bars and to figure out, how to do it so they had confidence. We found that our volunteers who felt confidence in installing grab bars increased tenfold. It was amazing. People were just like, oh yeah, I can do this. This is easy. So I really suggest that if you can schedule a volunteer training class, make it into a little event or something for your volunteers. It's a really big thing. One of the things that I did was we did the training. This is one of the training classes that we held where we had tables set up with all the tools and equipment and really talking about the different kinds of grab bars, the installation. We had one of our accessibility experts there, Lewis actually, who was basically trying to get us talking to folks about the different circumstances and how to install grab bars. This ended up being a really popular thing. People really loved it. You can see somebody working on drilling into the tiles on the left-hand picture there. And that's me in the center there. One of the things that I did, because I really did want my volunteers to have hands-on practice on this, not just talk at them about how to do it. I made basically a practice wall. I made a 2x2 frame. I threw some cement board on it or drywall. I forget what I used, whatever I had. It took about 36 tiles, the 4x4 tiles, which I picked up at the Restore or something. Didn't bother with putting mortar on it. I just used regular tile mastic and some grout. So basically I made a 4x4 wall, or not 4x4, but a 2x2 wall that imitated what a tile wall in a bathroom looked like. And then I gave my volunteers drills and bits and I said, go at it, guys. And they loved it. It was a lot of fun. You can see them drilling into it right there. I had, people were saying, oh, this is easy. This isn't anywhere near as hard as I thought it was. We gave them little tips and tricks, like a little pivot in the tile when they first started, so that the bit doesn't kind of bounce around and jump. If you ever tried to drill in tile, you sometimes get a little bit of bounce, but learning how to make like a little divot in the tile so that the bit will stay in place. It just increased our volunteers' confidence so much. It was really amazing. I really highly recommend, if you can do that you will increase your volunteers who feel confident installing grab bars. So when you're on site installing the grab bars, you need to prepare your volunteers that there's going to be different situations that they may have to deal with, particularly if they haven't seen this site before. The first option is always to mount in the studs where possible. That involves using that stud finder that's in your kit to find where the studs are above the tile, because it's kind of hard to get a read on right through the tile. So you go high up on the wall and you make marks on where the studs are. Then you're going to go and you're going to drill a very small pilot hole to confirm that the studs are. Trying to drill into the grout if possible. That way you're not making any holes in the tile, unnecessary holes in tile. Heck of a lot easier to repair the grout than it is to repair the tile. If you find that the studs are on the place where you want your grab bars to be, then you start going for it, attaching it with the stainless steel screws. Anytime you have a moisture situation, using stainless steel screws is the preferred method on this. Most grab bars do come with stainless steel screws, so that's really not an option. But mounting at least 1 or 2 of the holes in the grab. Usually there's 3 holes in a grab bar mounting bracket. At least 1 or 2 holes into the studs really makes a huge difference. Sometimes you have to maneuver it just a little bit to be able to make that happen. I don't know why they don't make grab bars that fall exactly on the studs, but a lot of them don't. So the second option then is to use something like the winged fasteners. And I found this nice little thing that shows you how the winged fasteners work. Basically, you're drilling a hole in the wall. The winged fastener, you compress the winged fastener and slip it through, and it expands behind the wall. And then the fastener itself has cleats on it to prevent it from spinning, and gives a nice spread pressure on the wall so that you can do that. And then the base plate is on the outside of the wall. And from there, then you can install your grab bar brackets onto the winged fasteners. They're really quick and easy, and they're really nice. The only downside is they need to have a substantial hole, sometimes a 1 1/4 inch hole. So you really kind of make sure that you're in the right place before you drill the holes. But those are wonderful fasteners. They use them all the time. I really love them. Sometimes you have to combine the two, winged fasteners as well as putting it into the studs. You'll find sometimes that the grab bar will only go into one stud and you need to do winged on the other side, or some sort of secure fastener. So feel free to combine the two. You really do need to figure out what's the best fastener for that thing. They will rarely line up perfectly with the studs, unfortunately. Sometimes in some homes you can use wood blocking. This is if you can get access from the back. And this is often also if you've got a situation where you're concerned that the wall might be a little weak. A lot of times bathrooms back up onto a closet, and you can go in and cut out a small amount of drywall and install some wooden backing in the back. Nowadays, the standard in construction is that you install blocking for putting up cabinets, putting up grab bars in the future, and things like that. So they didn't do that years ago, but wood blocking in the back can be useful. Sometimes even just installing a piece of 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch plywood, and then long enough screws or fasteners that can go all the way through the plywood can be useful. Problem with this, of course, is then you got to go back up and patch where you've opened up the wall. But it is sometimes a necessary option to have to go in and do some wood blocking. The finishing of it, wet locations use stainless steel screws. All openings should be caulked. You've drilled a hole into the tile or shower surround. That you've now made an opening for water to get in, so you have to make sure that you've caulked all around it so you don't have any water infiltration. I like to keep a very small container of grout repair compound. The tile grout stuff there comes in little pint containers. You can do it to patch a broken tile or to patch grout. It's really easy to use, easy cleanup. You don't have to carry around a powdered grout repair or powdered grout or anything like that, but it's a good way to finish up thing. And then of course, making sure you clean up your mess is the last thing to do. We have a complete manual on grab bar installation that you can get by visiting our cohort, the Falls Prevention cohort page, or you can use this link below. It's called All About Grab Bars. Becca, is that live at this point? I've been talking with your assistant, and she tells me it's live, but I don't know if it's only available to the cohort folks or what.
I will check on where it is. I know it is available to our Falls Prevention cohort folks, but I will also just email it to everybody who registered for this webinar so you can.
Wonderful. That's great. Yeah.
We'll send the recording in that.
Right. If you, Rebecca, I'll send you the this slideshow. And if people you want to share that as well, that link should take you to the cohort page. Do we have any questions? Trevor, did you get some answers onto your questions about the wall?
I think so. Yes. I think it's helpful. You know, a lot of ours are water damaged. And
Right.
so it just makes me wonder if we're going to get into, you know, going in and tearing out the wall and then it's a whole thing.
Yeah, yeah,
But these mobile homes are just different than a stick-built home and
right, right.
how they're
The
built.
wing-it fasteners that I talked about, you can use on mobile home walls as well. And there may be, we never worked on trailers too much, so I really don't know if there are specific recommendations on installing grab bars in trailers. But the idea is to, if you're going to put a toggle type fastener in, that you want something wide enough to really spread the load so that you're not, it's not going to come out with things. So using kind of overkill on the size of the toggle is really important. And like I said, the wing-it fasteners they've been used for more than 15, 20 years now, and they just keep getting rave reviews. They're just wonderful fasteners.
Do you think if the wall were to be compromised, it might cause another fall if this were to happen, but could you use a joist on the floor and do it from the floor up, like maybe a pole instead?
Yeah, the pole is really nice. Like I said, some of those poles are tension poles. You tighten them up so they go up against the ceiling and the floor. And some of them are bolted into the floor and the ceiling. You have to figure out which one you can get. And they aren't particularly that expensive. They're fairly nice for that. Sometimes the other thing, if you have, particularly if you're not in the shower area, the wet area, you can install blocking on the wall, right on the surface of the wall. So for example, if you're replacing a towel rack with a grab bar and you're not sure if you're going to find the studs there, you can install a piece of 1x2, the length of the grab bar, put that on first, make sure that's in the studs, and then attach the grab bar to the 1x2. If it doesn't line up exactly with the studs, paint it white or whatever color the bathroom is, and it looks like it should be there. So that's a good possibility. The question on the walls, I mean, if the wall is really, really deteriorating so bad that you can't do anything, obviously you need to stop and assess what to do about the deteriorating wall. If it's only a little bit though, I mean, the grab bars are actually going to help because they're really securely fastened and they're holding the tile in place and the wall in place. So in some ways, the grab bar will kind of help stabilize the wall. But you have to really make a judgment call on that.
I'm wondering if anybody else on the webinar has experience with installing grab bars in mobile homes who could give any suggestions or tips to Treva. Jerry?
Sorry, I was waiting for my
That's
picture to
okay,
show
go
up.
ahead.
I was gonna let you know that there, in most mobile homes, not most, but there's a significant number of mobile homes that have where the shower enclosure is actually a raised fiberglass shower enclosure. There are products, fasteners that you can purchase. You probably are more likely to find them on like Amazon, but essentially they are they're built so that way you can almost put in sort of like these washers, but very thick ones that will essentially you can measure it to the thickness. Yep, that's the one. Yeah, I showed up late. Sorry. My apologies. Yeah,
Right,
that was
right.
just to say that was a great one. They do make huge holes, but yeah, I found those to be helpful.
Right. I think the main issue with those is these are actually meant to be installed during the installation of the enclosure, because you need to be able to get back to the stud to do that. I need to do a little more research because there probably are some that you can kind of drill a hole into the fiberglass and kind of thread it through.
Yes, there are
And
some.
then, yeah, So
Yes, there are.
okay, so these might not be the only ones on that. So there you
Yeah.
go.
And then I was going to, one thing that I like to add in is a bead of 100% clear silicone. I don't know if you covered that, but it's
Yeah.
also an adhesive. So
Right.
especially in the case where you're trying to fit especially when you have tile and you just don't have the ability to know exactly where the center of your stud is.
Mhm.
And if you're off by a little bit, the tension strength is just not as much there. So
Right.
it gives you a little bit of extra adhesive to make sure that it's not relying fully on that
Right,
particular
right.
fastener, and then also serves as just for water penetration, anything like that. But
Right. Yeah, one of the things we covered in the accessory kit is basically having a little bit of rubbing alcohol or alcohol pads to wipe down, because a lot of times, especially the older ones, even though people, do clean, there's still kind of soap scum on there. And you really need to kind of break through that to be able to make sure your caulk or adhesive is going to really adhere to the tile, because it will fail otherwise if there's any sort of grease or soap scum or conditioner that got splashed on the tile before you got there, those kind of things. So a little bit of alcohol makes a huge difference to be able to clean and get through that soap scum.
I have a comment here for Triva as well. Mobile homes that have got water damage or structurally compromised. What we do a lot, and I understand it's not the prettiest thing in the world, but I think in at least for our circumstances, it's not about pretty at that point. It's about keeping them safe and keeping them in their home. We'll take a piece of 1x6, 1x4 material and put it on the outside of the wall and span 2 studs. So you're actually screwing the 1x into the stud, and then you have the 1x on the outside of the wall to secure the grab bar. To secure the grab bar too, so you're hitting something solid.
And one of the things that the concern I have with that is that you need to first off figure out how to seal it so that you get like caulking around the 2x or whatever you're using. And then you also have to just make sure that there's not going to be enough water on that piece of wood that it's going to rot. So
Right, if it was inside of a shower, we would use the plastic material, the plastic 1x6 material.
yeah, that's good. Yeah, I'm actually not sure how the synthetic 1x or 2x material. I mean, I've worked with it and it's great. It acts like wood, but in terms of tensile strength, I'm really not sure what kind of pullout it has. Wood is, it's got the fibers and it tends to kind of like wrap around screws and things like that. I'm not sure how the thing is with the PVC or the stuff like that. But you can paint it with a paint regular wood with a good exterior oil-based paint, as well as doing some caulking on it. But I like that idea, of doing that. The other thing is that you can buy fiberglass panels. I know Home Depot sells like these 4x8 fiberglass panels. They're basically a thin piece of fiberglass that is cuttable with you need the appropriate blade for it, but you can cut them and you can kind of put that right over top of a deteriorating wall. I mean, assuming that it's not, you're not sealing off mold and stuff like that, but you could actually put that over a wall and cover it with, finishing washers and exterior screws, and actually kind of screw that onto the wall to be able to get a cheap and easy way to cover some of the damage. I will caution though, to make sure that there isn't so much damage that mold is developed behind the walls, because you don't want to just seal in mold. But it is a quick and easy fix. We've actually used that kind of stuff when we did have a wall that was coming down. Instead of buying a fiberglass surround, we bought a couple of these panels and just cut them to fit, and then caulk the corners. The panels are fairly cheap, and they're very easy to use. But you do need the appropriate blade on your saw to cut them so that they don't chip. They make a special fiberglass cutting blade for that.
I have a general question for the group. I guess I'm wondering how and when you decide to install a grab bar. Obviously, if it's been requested by the client, it's a no-brainer, but is it standard for all your projects with clients 62 and older, or is it a conversation with them, or is it kind of an afterthought? I guess I'm curious how often you all are installing them and how you're deciding which projects.
For us, if we're doing taking a tub out and put a shower in, they're standard. We put three in every single time. But outside of the shower, it's more upon request or during the conversation with the client, just realizing that they may have a need, or watching them walk from room to room, grabbing things. We kind of determine it that way.
Yeah, watching them walk room from room is really amazing. You'll see immediately where people need that extra support, which is why I'm a big advocate of putting, just a little 12-inch vertical grab bar in a place where they may have to step up. Sometimes there's change levels in rooms, and you get to a certain age and you don't lift your feet as high as you should, and people will trip. Number one tripping hazard right there. So those kind of things. Shower, of course, is where people will have the worst falls, but you really do need to kind of walk around with the person as they're able and really get a sense of where are they having issues. Sometimes putting a railing down a hall, just a horizontal railing straight down a hall, if there's room, can be a great assistance to somebody. They're walking down the hall and their balance isn't as good, and they're kind of hitting the walls to keep themselves balanced. That railing, just go, straight horizontal railing going down the hall, can make a huge difference in their being able to get into and out of their bedroom, without banging themselves against the wall. You'll see it, you'll know. All right, but like I said, the a more complete version of this manual is on our website. This is just kind of some of the highlights of it. I wanted to talk a little bit about the various fasteners. And I do want to encourage you to really think about being able to increase your volunteer amount of volunteers that can install grab bars by doing some sort of a small event. I threw that little 2x2 tile thing together in an afternoon. I threw the mastic on, threw some grout on the same time, didn't even wait for it to dry, and then let it sit for a day. And it worked great. And folks really felt great. They were like, wow, this is so much easier than I thought it was. Just increased their confidence so much better. And we had more and more people volunteering for installing grab bars. Before we had like 2, and we got like 15. So it was just kind of really amazing. And it's a nice, it's a nice way to kind of treat your volunteers, get them some, drinks and cookies, and they come play with some tools, folks like that.
We've had some resistance from clients that, really could use some grab bars in a lot of places in their homes. But like you said, they look at it as, they don't want to look like they're getting older. So I really appreciate using it universally, like you said, to suggest other people that are coming, like, oh, it might help. You never know who it's going to help. It might not just be you. And they'll probably wind up using it. Like in the home we bought has a grab bar in our shower, and I wouldn't have put it there, but I use it every single time.
Exactly, yeah.
And I am in my 30s.
It's amazing. Once they're there, people use them. There's no
Yeah.
question about it. I found that the resistance to grab bars isn't as bad as it was when I first started doing this more than 20, 25 years ago. The resistance to grab bars was huge. People were just really, oh, I don't want that. It's going to diminish the value of my home. It's going to, I'm too young to have grab bars. And that's really decreased. And I think the push towards what they call universal design has really helped a lot. People are seeing grab bars in, House and Garden magazines and things like that. They don't have the stigma that they used to have. And, if you're putting in grab bars into a hallway or around a door, that you can just tell them, this is temporary. You take these out and we can fill the holes. It's not a big deal. We're not doing anything, really serious. I mean, the most permanent one is drilling holes in the tile. And even that, it's just, there it is, but grab bars can be taken out and the holes filled fairly easily, and they can paint the bathroom for a new client if they want, or a new owner. So it's really not the stigma that they used to have. I found much less resistance to these than there used to be. But your mileage will vary, of course.
Robin,
Well,
this is great.
great.
Thank you so much for all this information. I know I learned a lot. This is
Oh,
really
I hope that helps. Yeah.
I have just a couple of closing announcements. I put a link in the chat box to a short survey about this webinar. If you fill that out, we'll put you in a drawing for a $5 Starbucks gift card. We'll share your comments with Robin. We have a bunch of upcoming events, so I'm going to link to those in the chat box as well. There's actually going to be 2 more added later this afternoon. We are going to add 2 Salesforce webinars on September 13th and 15th, one for people who are thinking about Salesforce as their next CRM, and one for our members who already use it, or non-members as well. Anybody's welcome to attend. Reframe Conference, our 12th annual national gathering is fast approaching. It's November 9th through 11th, and registration's open now. The early bird 2 rate ends next Wednesday on the 31st. So if you're not registered for that yet, I encourage you to sign up now before the price increases. And it is a hybrid event, so if you can't make it to East Tennessee, you could sign up for the virtual access to that. And we have a bunch of other webinars coming up. September 1st, we have a camp model summer debrief. We also have a local model roundtable. We have a Healthy Homes Affinity group meeting September 12th. So we are busy, full of gatherings. I know you guys are busy out in the field doing repairs as well, but we want to try to provide you with as much resource and information as possible. I will stick around for a couple minutes at the end here. If we have any people on who are not yet a member of the coalition, I'd love to chat with you about that and just share about membership benefits and all. Anybody else have any final comments or questions?
Yeah, Becca, you said that the manual is available. Is it on the Coalition for Home Repair website?
It is in our members resource library, but I will send it. I'll email it to everybody who sent it,
Great.
so you'll get access to it.
Great. I want to thank you all for letting me give this webinar today. I really appreciate it. I'm going to head on out, Rebecca. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Robin.
Okay, take care.
Appreciate
Bye-bye.
it.
I had one more quick question.
Yeah, sure.
Are there any programs out there through the federal government that are providing grab bars? In other words, if we wanted to have a stock of grab bars?
I am not aware of anything. It sounds like a great idea. I would totally support it and advocate for it, but I'm not aware of anything. Anybody else aware of anything like that? Still on here? No, I don't think so.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Thank you, Becca.
thanks for being here. Anybody else have any questions? All right, well, thank you all so much. Have a great rest of your day. Buy in bulk. Good point, Jerry. Thank you.